What's up, everybody? My name is Joe Fletcher, and I go to USA College, and I'm part of the geography class. And I've had a great semester. Everything's been great. I've loved the class. Everything's awesome, and I'm glad that you guys can actually see and hear me for the first time. So this is pretty cool. Uh, Today, I'm going to be talking about climate change in China, and yeah, climate change is something that's affecting our whole entire world, but right now it's really significant in China. So I'm gonna just go into a little bit of details about that, and we got like the presentation. All right, so to start off, what is climate change? Climate change is a change in global or regional climate patterns, in particular, a change apparent from the mid to late 20th century onwards, and attributed largely to the increased levels of atmospheric carbon dioxide produced by the use of fossil fuels. When you see these like big time factories causing all this pollution, cars just tearing up gas, um, littering, all that stuff in that nature, that all causes climate change. And the primary cause of climate change is, burning of fossil fuels such as oil and coal, which emits greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, primarily carbon dioxide. And then other human activities such as agriculture and deforestation also contribute to the proliferation of greenhouse gases that cause climate change. So like deforestation, just cutting down trees, taking down forests. These trees, they cause, they bring oxygen to us. They help us, breathe, and all that stuff. So, they taking those down, and tearing down the ecosystem, that can really cause a huge detrimental effect on us as a species. So, it's and also agriculture, that is a huge factor for causing climate change. So, those are just a few examples right there. And next slide. It's affecting the entire world. It's affecting everybody. So, temperatures, they're going to continue to rise. So because human-induced warming is superimposed on naturally varying climates, the temperature rise has not been and will not be uniform or smooth across, country over time. And then, you'll also be seeing changes in precipitation patterns. So, the average U.S. precipitation has increased since 1900, for example. But some areas have had increases greater than the national average. So, some areas will have, some have had decreases. More winter and spring precipitation is projected for the northern United States, and then less for the Southwest over the century. Projections for future climate over the United States suggest that the recent trend towards increased heavy precipitation events will continue, and the trend is projected to occur in regions where total precipitation is expected to decrease, such as the Southwest. And more droughts and heat waves will occur. And so what that means is, you'll be seeing, periods of abnormally hot weather, and that will last probably, days to weeks. You'll in like times where like it really shouldn't be that hot. Like for example, it's fall, October, cool and crisp. All of a sudden, you'll see temperatures raise to like high 80s. Like that's a heat wave caused by climate change. And and it's projected, right now, because of the state that we are in, it's projected to be just, really intense everywhere in the entire world. And summer temperatures are projected to continue to be rising. Like even for summertime when it's supposed to be warm, there are areas that are just going to be abnormally hotter than usual. Like for example, I'm in upstate New York, and we are in a huge heat wave right now. Today we had a high of 96. And it's been moving into the Northeast. Like today in Florida, in one particular area in Tampa Bay, it was 90 degrees. That was their high. So it's been very interesting the past few days, and that's an example of heat wave that is caused by climate change. All right, so Hurricanes are becoming stronger and way more intense. The intensity, frequency, and duration of Atlantic hurricanes, as well as the frequency of the strongest hurricanes, have all increased since the early 1980s. My bad. And the relative contributions of human and natural causes to these increases are still uncertain. Um, and hurricane-associated storm intensity and rainfall rates are projected to increase as the climate continues to warm. It's a little scary thought, you know. So if you're living on a coast that's near the Atlantic Ocean, you could start to see really more intense hurricanes in the near future, again by climate change. Sea levels are raising they are currently raising and rising due to climate change, and they are projected to raise 1 to 4 feet by 2100. And it's right now the global sea level has risen by about 8 inches since reliable record keeping it began in 1880. That's kind of interesting to think about. 8 inches since 1880. It's a long time ago. So it's really rising at a drastic rate, and it is projected to raise 1 to 4 more inches by 2100. And this is the result of added water from melting land ice and the expansion of seawater as it warms. This could be detrimental to ocean life. This could be detrimental to people living near coasts. Pretty soon you could see some flooding. I mean, when I say soon, I mean not for like another century or two, but it's going to come at us quick. It's going to hit us like a bus. So that's another thing to think about. And then last but not least, the Arctic will likely become ice-free. That is very scary to think about. So the Arctic Ocean is expected to become essentially ice-free in the summer before mid-century. So pretty soon we could just see it just be a land. So that's another thing to think about. I had this picture in here. Just shows the different kind of areas around the world that not no specific area, but just like the different kinds of areas that how they are being affected by climate change, showing what's going on in each area. So we have changes in animal migration life cycles. Right here we have changing rain and snow patterns, so that's precipitation patterns. We have a city right over here. You're gonna see way more higher temperatures, more heat waves. One thing that's interesting is you're gonna see more droughts and wildfires. So you look at California, they have wildfires there. It seems like almost every day, but I mean it's very frequent over there in California. And again, that has to do with global warming. You won't see it because my face is blocking it. I know I have a beautiful face, so you're probably not even looking at anything anyway. You're looking at me. But right behind me is it shows a fact that says there's going to be warmer oceans. There's going to be warmer oceans over there, and again, perfect example of global warming. Let's see, we have damaged corals. I actually read something interesting. The coral life has, don't quote me on this, but I believe it's 17% of coral life has been damaged or pronounced dead due to global warming. And I was just reading that today, actually, and I thought that was very interesting. I think it's a very cool picture. I think it really shows very well how different areas are being affected by global warming. So that's just something to think about. So the real reason why we are here. What is going on in China? So there's a significant increasing trend in annual mean temperature for central China during 1961 to 2010. And the increasing rate was 0.15 degrees Celsius per decade, which was lower than the national trend. Since the mid-1980s, temperatures increasing was obvious. Large increasing rate was observed in the mid-eastern part of central China. For the 4 seasons, the increasing rate in winter was the largest, 0.27 degrees Celsius per decade. Not to mention the increasing rate, the annual mean minimum temperature was larger than in the annual mean maximum temperature from 1961 to 2010. So right now, China is dealing with huge temperature raises that they did not see coming, and they should have, and you'll find out why. So China has been known for being the capital of greenhouse gases pollution. When you think of China, you think of power plants and factories, and they have a they really care about their economy. In some cases, they care more about the economy than their citizens. Their country is filled with factories that produces tons of pollution from primarily, but not only, greenhouse gases, but also coal-fired power plants and fossil fuels. All three very bad for the environment, that cause significant amount of smog that can really drastically change a country and its people. And because China is such an industrialized country, its large population of citizens are able to pollute and cause numerous problems in its environment, including littering and driving cars. Cars today, listen, I love myself, a nice car. However, so at some point, they're not really good for the environment. They can cause tons of pollution. They burn way too much gas. It's like you're pretty much driving a factory on your own. So when you have booming cities and China, look at that for example. I mean, they have a large population, and everybody's going to be driving a car. It's going to be causing tons of pollution that can affect many generations to come. Over here, I have a picture right here. So this is the it's a new Chinese state-owned coal-fired power plant. It's located in country, and Guizhou. It's in Guizhou province in southern China, and that was taken in February. So it's coal-fired power plant, and as you can tell, not really good for the environment, and it just produces a bunch of coal that causes, again, tons of smog and not really good for the citizens. So, what are they doing to fix it? Is it too late? It's never too late to do something about it. It's going to take some time, though. So, China has pledged that its carbon dioxide emissions would reach their maximum by around 2030, and that it would try to reach an earlier peak. So, they're trying to really calm down on the fossil fuels and everything like that. They're really trying to just have cleaner air to breathe, provide that citizens that way, and they are making drastic steps, and it aims to achieve that partly by expanding solar, wind, nuclear, and other non-fossil energy to about 20% of total energy use, which I think is great because it's a lot of countries are doing it. They're really becoming part of the solar, wind, nuclear, and other non-fossil energy gang. They're really trying to find cleaner sources for new ways to find energy, which I think is great. I think the United States has hopped on that, and I think that's a really good thing for the Earth. The Paris Agreement. So the Paris Agreement is an agreement within the United States Framework Convention on Climate Change, and it deals with greenhouse gas emissions, mitigation, adaptation, and finance starting in the year 2020. So it's not going to happen yet. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but it's going to start in 2020. And China became a part of this Paris Agreement officially on April 1st, 2016. Out of the countries involved, China makes up for 29% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Obviously, this graph is not accurate because the United States is not part of the Paris Agreement anymore. Donald Trump got out of that pretty recently, but right now China was in desperate need for this to exist, and they need the help they can get. And I think it's great. I think it's great how countries are really coming together to try to fix climate change. I think it's a great thing that can benefit all of us in the long run. We all, at the end of the day, it's our Earth. It's our Earth, so we need to come together, and we really need to do something about it. And I think it's great how our world leaders are recognizing that. So China is making some great steps to get there, to really help settle down their climate change, but it's just going to take a lot of time. But not as much time as you would think, though. If they say they want to try to get it all fixed in about 18 years, 20 years, by all means, prove us wrong, China. But that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you very much for listening. Check out my YouTube channel below. It's a cringe fest. It's me as a 10-year-old. So, but anyways, actually, don't do it. Don't just save yourself a lot of time and hassle. So Thank you guys for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and have a great rest of the semester.